So good morning, everybody, and thank you guys for joining us for our April Affordable Housing Task Force meeting. I'm excited. We've got a lot to do today, but I don't think it's going to take us really long to go through everything. So hopefully we can get you guys out of here a little bit early today, but I'm excited about a lot of our discussion items today. Trying, as everybody was jumping on, to note everybody who was on. I think I got everybody, but I just want to double check that I'm not missing anybody. So I don't see John Ando, Julianne Avon, Reggie Barner, Sue Berkowitz, Tanya Isaac. I do see Shayla, Greg Sprouse, Allison Terratio, or Lester Young. Are any of those here? I think there's a phone number. There's Sue, and there's a phone number I don't recognize. So if I called your name, that means I didn't have you present. So if I called your name and you're here, tell me you're here. Okay. All right, so I think I got everybody, and I'll make sure Greg is here now. I'll make sure that that we if other people show none, I get them. So good morning, everybody. Just wanted to start first, jump right into the approval of our minutes for the March 9th, 2021 meeting. Ms. Hammond sent that to everybody, I think last week as well as earlier today. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting. And so if they have been reviewed, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the March 9th, 2021 meeting.
Motion to approve minutes for March 29th meeting.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Second by, that was Jennifer?
Second by Ivory.
Ivory, okay. Second by Ivory. All those in favor of approval of the minutes for March 9th, 2021, please say aye.
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 Any opposers? All right, well then those minutes are approved. Before we go into any updates from committee reports, what you guys have in your agenda packet as well is, and we sent it around, I apologize, it was a little bit late. Okay, thank you, Brian. Is the Affordable Housing Task Force report. As we discussed at last month's meeting, I think it's prudent for now that we've been meeting several months now to give an update to Columbia City Council and Richland County Council as far as the work that we've been doing and where we are. And primarily, I'd like buy-in and approval of our definition for affordable housing by the county and the city so that we have a good operating definition as we embark on our community education piece, as well as we move forward, making sure that we are aligning with what our governmental bodies have tasked us to do. So based on this, I'll briefly go through. I'm not going to read it all because you guys have had it, but the agenda, the definition that we have for affordable housing is a continuum of equitable, inclusive, and quality rental and home ownership opportunities for people at every income level, which is critical to creating safe, complete, and thriving communities. And then Ms. Hammond has elevated some facts that we have regarding affordable housing here locally, as presented to us and we discussed by Dr. Grady. And then we talked about the affordable housing unit goal. Summary is that we talked about how it's imperative that we set an aggressive, realistic goal to help add or preserve affordable housing units within our community. And so we will base our goals for the next few years based on the permits for 2021. And then we have elevated the priorities listed by each of the committees. So based on this draft report, I'd love to take some input from you guys on this. This is just the draft that Ms. Hammond and I put together. Any additions, changes, deletions, clarifications that you guys believe need to be added so that we can finalize this and get ready for a presentation to both Richland County Council and City of Columbia. Don't all speak at once. Jim?
I do have, in our goal, we talk about the number of affordable housing units, but we don't talk to the issue that Dr. Grady brings up under facts, and that's the lower income number of units that are needed. And I'm wondering if we should state a goal for those specific units. And that's the extremely low income and low income group.
Okay, so Jim, do you have any suggested language? And I'm thinking as you're talking, maybe something about some kind of addition of language, maybe something like giving special attention to citizens in the low income and extremely low income
Group.
what you call it, group.
Yeah, because as I've heard on this, in these meetings, I think we're addressing some of the higher income levels, and some units are being produced for that income group. My concern would be for that lower income group that is 30% or less, 40% or less, even 50% or less. And it sounded like your language would work if we just put a clause in there.
Okay. Sue?
I'd like to second that. I think that you're absolutely right. That's needed.
Yeah, and I've been listening to Dr. Grady, and certainly that number for the lower income just hits you in the face. That
I mean, it's intuitive because we are the Affordable Housing Task Force, but I think it would be good for us to state that proactively in it.
Yeah,
I agree, because although it's intuitive to us, we're serving because we kind of know, but as we get out in the community, they may not, and so that makes sense. Councilman Davis, did you put your hand up?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it also helps when you take a look at what we include in talking points. I think that helps to make the case also. And it helps to answer the question why that's always out there. And so affordable and workforce, I think really kind of helps us paint the picture of where we need to go in the city. And there is a perception that it's most of the construction are for people of maybe middle to upper income, and that's not necessarily the end goal of the committee.
Thank you. Lalana?
I think what you'll also find is a lot of these projects are what we consider mixed use.
Right.
So they'll include 30, 50, 60, 80% all in one development, for lack of a better word. So, as we go back to that, not in my backyard, the wording, think, it needs to be crafted in a way that, it is all good quality, whether it's 30% or 80%. That 30 doesn't look and feel different than 80% in this world. So, and I would kind of defer to Dr. Grady on where we draw that line as far as is it 30, is it 40, is it 50? How do we want to, what's the sweet spot as far as that percentage?
Sure. So I can comment on that to some extent. You can see there that the statistic in the draft report is from the National Low Income Housing Coalition. Every year they put out the gap report, and they really highlight that the need really is in that ELI range, because once you even move up just a little bit from that, there's a substantial increase in the number of housing units that are affordable and available, not necessarily everywhere, but writ large statewide. So, I mean, that's sort of why I've focused on that, and I focused on that in the preliminary estimates of market needs. So yeah, I would certainly be in favor of some language that says that places an explicit focus on producing and preserving housing for that population.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. And plus a lot of those 30% individuals are at a state in their lives where more than likely their income is not going to increase just because they are aging in place. You know, some of our golden age seniors or individuals who are, you know, they might have some income, but they might be disabled with, you know, with a limited amount of income. They might be working, but the income is limited. So I agree in that language will certainly make sure we cover. I think it makes sure we really cover housing across just the spectrum because we're looking at the 30%, and then we're also, you know, able to cover, as Councilman Davis said, cover those people that we think of as the workforce housing folk who might be above the 30%, but somewhere in between the 80 and the 30.
Any additional comments before I kind of give y'all a wordsmith version? Okay, so to adequately address the needs of affordable housing in our community, it is imperative that we set aggressive but realistic goals to help add and preserve, it says add or preserve affordable housing units, giving special attention to low income and extremely low income resident needs. Oh, look at you, Erica. I was like, what in the world is going on with my computer? All right. Does that feel comfortable to everybody? Okay. Okay, cool. And just let me take a break for a second. Allison, I just wanted to bring you up what we're talking about. We're reviewing the Affordable Housing Task Force report draft, just getting any input. And what we were sharing is that what we talked about last time is that after we finalize this, then this can be presented to both of our bodies. So we want to make sure that it adequately reflects our discussion and our goals so that as it's communicated to the governmental bodies, it's clear as to what we've been working on. Do you want to add anything?
Thank you. Yes, and you know, I love the. Do we use the word aggressive? I think I heard that word in there, so that's exciting to me. I would also just say, you know, I want to be careful about. One of the things that kind of sticks with me is the use of like workforce in housing, simply because to me it kind of conjures up the images of like, you know, I'm from Kentucky and, you know, there are farms that have these kind of like, you know, trailers pulled up on them for the, you know, temporary workers or just, you know, incredibly low wage earners to live in, which kind of brings to mind for me that image of like, well, we're going to subsidize people essentially paying super low wages to people. That always kind of sticks with me. So I want to be careful about the use of the word like workforce housing or the term workforce housing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So I don't think I know Councilman Davis was talking just in general. I don't think we use workforce housing in this draft. So okay. Is that your concern that we don't use that, right? Is that your concern?
Yeah, I would just in general would like to, you know, avoid that term if we can think of use a better term. I know what we're talking about is we're talking about, you know, working people who can't really afford the housing that's available in the community. I get that. But I also don't want to give employers permission to pay low wages because hey, they're going to be covered with, you know, being, you know, there's going to be subsidized housing for their low income workers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not using that term on here, and I think we've talked about it a little bit before about, even transitioning to using attainable a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I know in our definition, we make sure that we put attainable in here because we want people to understand that it's what's attainable and there's different income levels.
Yeah. So yeah, that's and that's really all I have to say about it right now.
Okay. All right. So in committee priorities, we can go through each of them. And we can go through it actually as we're talking about committee reports and see if anybody has anything to add. But under accessibility, we have that the Accessibility Committee will delve into solutions for making access to quality, affordable housing a reality for people within special populations, i.e. people with mental illness, formerly incarcerated persons, people with disabilities, seniors, and other populations. Does that feel comfortable? Yeah. Yes. Okay. We have under financing, the Finance Committee will identify effective affordable housing financing tools that can be utilized. Current tools under consideration include, but are not limited to, the City of Columbia Local Affordable Housing Tax Abatement Program, Social Impact Fund for Private Investors, an Affordable Housing Bond, 1 cent sales tax program, tax increment financing, multi-county industrial park legislation, unclaimed state funds, land banks, and affordable housing impact fees, and a countywide trust fund. Does that feel comfortable? All right, so legal and zoning. The Legal and Zoning Committee will review laws needed to advance affordable housing opportunities, laws that are an impediment to affordable housing, and zoning changes necessary to support the development of more affordable housing. Other areas of focus include mechanisms to address the issue of providing assistance and funding for persons facing eviction, and innovative ideas for the reuse of abandoned properties like hotels and motels. Okay. Partnerships Committee. The Partnership Committee will bring together partners such as other nonprofits and community-based organizations that can help support the mission of the Affordable Housing Task Force. Okay, that's just general. Okay. And then Public Education Awareness Committee. In collaboration with the Partnerships Committee, the Public Education Awareness Committee will develop a strategy to help communicate the message of what affordable housing is and why it is needed, while working to dispel negative stereotypes about affordable housing and who we serve. We want to start a success story model. The goal is to demonstrate the worth and positive side of affordable housing, to debunk the myths and work with opposition. So we feel comfortable with the priorities of all of our committees. Okay. And I'm gonna go back. Mary Louise had a comment about under the outreach categories. Under outreach categories, can we please add building trades? This is critical population to educate on the need and help formulate a plan, especially when the cost of building materials are so high. So Jennifer, I know Brenda's not here. Did y'all discuss that?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think Brenda was more the one coming up with the talking points and things like that. So,
does anybody have a counter to why that should not be included in outreach category? Okay, so Mary Louise, we will add that. Erica, if you could note that, we're going to add building trades.
And that's TRADES, building trades.
Yes.
When you're looking at the report, would it fit nicely with any of the existing categories, or should it be its own category?
I kind of think about it somewhat in the business and community, because I was thinking when she said building trades, I thought about like the home builders. And I know, they've been instrumental in kind of communicating some things through the chamber and others, but a specific outreach to them because they represent the home builders and other developers. I guess I don't know that. Shayla, I don't know if you know that question. Like, do or Lala Anna, you might know, do the developers like the Kevin Connollys and the Reggie Bonners, are they part of the Home Builders Association?
Most of them are. It's a membership organization, just like any other statewide organization. So they would be members. It would the level of engagement may vary from developer to developer, if you follow me on that.
Mhm. Okay. So Erica, maybe under their business and community, you add, you know, building trades, or yeah, like BIA and South Carolina, yeah, Home Builders Association. So somehow maybe included in there. You were trying to figure out how to put it in what we have existing, but specify it. Is that what you're looking at, Erica?
Yeah, correct. And that was my initial thought, to put it with that group, but I just wanted consensus. Thank you.
Yeah, because like we have funding entities and real estate partners. I think that's good. So maybe building community and then building trade, or business and community, and then building trade.
All right, thank you.
I have a suggestion. Maybe we should put, where it says business and community, we can put housing developers. And that would cover some of the building trades organizations. And it would also cover the organizations who we are going to extend a reach out that are not necessarily, might not necessarily be in Columbia, but might be somewhere else throughout the country, that are willing to come to assist us in meeting our goals. So it doesn't limit us to just looking at the building trades folk in our community, but we can certainly, include those who are outside of the community as well.
Okay, great.
Am I hearing business, community, and housing developers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Louise talked about remodelers. Would those, yes, I think they would be an asset, to answer your question. Are they included? Would they consider themselves IRA housing developers?
I think they are. They some of them consider themselves as housing developers, and then some also consider themselves as real estate partners. Just, based on what they consider themselves as, yeah. But I think they would certainly fit in either one of the categories. And we have real estate partners already listed under the funding entities.
All right, any other feedback or input on the outreach categories? Okay, so seeing none, Erica's making these changes, and then we can send these out, and then once we're all good with this and approved, Allison, tell me how you want to handle your body. My proposal would be that we work with Ms. Hammond to see if we can get an official presentation to our council. We can send a report, but I want to make sure it's read and digested and understood. So I think a presentation, in addition to the report, is useful for my colleagues. So we'll work with that and put it on an upcoming agenda for a brief presentation to City Council, and then anybody can ask any questions. All of you guys don't have to be there, but certainly we would like you to be there as members of the task force during the presentation, and we'll make sure. Right now they're still all Zoom, and we'll send you that information. So that would be my preference for how we disseminate this information to the City of Columbia. Allison, what is your thought and preference about Richland County?
I like the idea. As you may know, our council presentations tend to be pretty short and at the beginning of the session. So it will have to be kind of very high level, but I do think it is great to get the information out to council members and then also just gauge support and interest. Currently, the motion regarding affordable housing is sitting in the committee that I chair, the Development and Services. So we can probably get more of kind of a work session going in one of those committee meetings, and then just invite people to join us. Hold on, I'm going to have to honk my horn.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so so Ms. Hammond, you can work with Councilwoman Terratio about kind of the county thing, and we'll disseminate that information to the task force. And then once you can look as far as the city goes, what that might look like, we'll send that out as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Councilwoman Devine, do we have any plans to present this information to the Richland County Legislative Delegation?
I think that's a great idea. Ms. Matthews, we can make those arrangements. Currently, City Council is, we are actually meeting individually with members of the delegation this week. I think the mayor's chairing some meetings yesterday, today. I'm part of the meeting for tomorrow. So I'll work with them, but I think you're right. I think a actual presentation to them probably would be difficult because I don't think they kind of come together like that. But certainly what we can do is maybe a letter from us along with our report, sending it to them. And then those who may be particularly interested to hear more, maybe we can set up a meeting with them. That's a great idea. You're right. Which kind of leads us into some of the other things I wanted to jump into. So if we're okay with this, we can move on in our agenda. Any other thoughts or comments or questions on our report to our legislative bodies?
Yes, Councilwoman Devine, Regina Williams has posted, is there a plan or wording for outreach to form partnerships with youth and communities to include these persons to learn trades?
Not really, Regina. We could talk offline about that. I'm not sure exactly what, I mean, so I think you're talking about more of a workforce development. Is that what you're talking about? Regina, you can come off mute. Go ahead. Or she might be doing something. If she can't come off mute, Regina, you and I can talk offline about that. If you're talking more workforce development, I don't know if it would, oh, there you are, off mute. You want to say something?
Am I off mute?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yes. Just wondering if we could somehow incorporate the youth or the underemployed into the wording so that when we make this presentation, people will know that we do have this group of folk in the plans.
Okay. So are you talking more like for workforce development or?
Yes, and learning trades.
So I'm not exactly sure that is part of, so what we're talking about is more the provision of the affordable housing and having quality housing. I think the trades probably go more under, I think you probably thought about that because we were talking about the home builders and that kind of stuff. I think that's more of a separate issue. I mean, it's definitely something we would support because if you're working, if you get workforce development, then you're helping people with income and things like that. But I don't know if it exactly fits to be written in our plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But I'm glad that you elevate that because I do think that as we continue to talk about partners, and this might be more of the partnership committee, as we talk about partners, and Regina, you and I have talked about this, I think the home builders and others having apprenticeship programs and others to keep people, to train more people in this field is useful to us. And so as we establish more of a partnership with the home builders and BIA and others, I think workforce development needs to be something that we're talking to them about, like how they can further support our mission. So we can talk about that as a kind of a separate, but I don't think that's really part of this report.
Okay, thank you. They have reached out to me, and the fact that they have insurance to incorporate these folks into their into, their building process is something that was good. But I do thank you for listening.
Okay, sounds good. All righty. Okay, so now that we are finished with this, I just want to, and then I'm gonna kind of give some remarks, and then I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Grady and Ms. Coleman, who is here. And thank you so much. I said Coleman. Is it Cole? Jennifer, what's your last name? I want to make sure. Cogan, right? Okay, Cogan. So I'm gonna let Dr. Grady and Ms. Cogan talk, but y'all, I'm excited, and I've been sending y'all, and I can't. Sometimes y'all excuse me. I don't want to inundate y'all and send. I know your inboxes are probably like mine, so I try not to send a whole lot of stuff. But there's so many things happening that's really exciting, and so I just want to make sure that everybody kind of saw some of the announcements last week. I've said before that I'm very excited about the Biden-Harris administration, a lot of things that they're doing that I think completely aligns with the priorities that we set and some of the things that we want to do. I was, I think, additionally ecstatic by the appointment and confirmation of Secretary Marsha Fudge at HUD. Not only has she been a mentor to me over many, many years, and former president of my sorority, but she's an amazing, amazing woman. And I know that as a former mayor of her city and someone who grew up in public housing, she gets affordable housing. She and I've had several conversations over the years about affordable housing in our country and things that we need to do. And so with her as the HUD secretary, I am just ecstatic because I know that she's going to get the job done and she's going to make bold moves, and she has not disappointed. Last week, there were 2 announcements made regarding funds that will help state and local governments as far as affordable housing. They are part of the American Rescue Plan, but they are additional funds that come through additional existing programs. And when I heard about the announcements and kind of watched her press conference, particularly the one she did on Thursday, I was really excited, and I was emailing Gloria and others and say, what can we do? How can we take advantage of these resources? I know, Ms. Matthews, there's probably going to be some additional resources for you and what you do, and Lala Anna and us all, but it's a lot. And as I continue to get information, I don't want to push out information without having all the data and the guidelines. So we'll continue to push out information once we learn more. But with what she announced last week, with the additional monies that are coming to the city or to local state governments under the National Housing Trust Fund, I reached out and Dr. Grady, actually I talked to the Shropshire at late night. I thank her. Y'all give her, Ms. Cogan and Dr. Grady, give her my thanks because she took my call at 8:30 Thursday night and said, yes, this is definitely something that we're going to be excited about and make sure that we get this money out. But in talking with Dr. Grady, I said, how does this work? What does this mean? And he said, well, I and Ms. Cogan can talk about what does that mean as far as additional support. And so I'm going to let Dr. Grady and Ms. Cogan talk about specifically what does this allocation mean, and so we can be aware of how different groups are going to be able to access this money to do affordable housing. But I also just want to say lastly is that this is just, I think, from what I hear, and National League of Cities has been in conversations with the administration, this is just going to be one of many things that I think we're going to see more resources coming for homelessness prevention, for rehab and building new affordable housing, for transforming just aligns exactly with what we have in our draft report, transforming old motels and malls and other things, being creative at how to add affordable housing with abandoned structures that are already in our community. So there's going to be a lot of things. What I do want is for all of us to be aware, because I do believe that a lot of times we're going to have to be very quick on our feet to get access to some of these things. And so, so I'm going to let Dr. Grady and Ms. Cogan talk about it. But sometimes Mayor Louise sent me, and I shout out to all of you guys about a letter that Habitat was asking to sign on for, to ask the governor to request money. Some of these things, we've got to be up on this, on guidelines all the time. Some money comes directly to us, the City of Columbia, Richland County, we're entitlement areas. And so some money will come directly to us. Sometimes money is available and your states have to apply for it. And so, you know, that's a role that I would like our task force to play sometimes, is that, we were aware through Habitat's diligence about this money that has to be requested. And from our information, it may not have even been on the governor's radar. And so there are sometimes things happen, and, if we don't act and we don't act quickly, then our state loses out. And I think that's happened a long time before. So y'all, if I send y'all alerts, read it and see how we can disseminate that in our organizations, because I think that there will be a lot of opportunities over the next at least year, 2 years of funds coming and being available. And we're going to have to be very quick to take advantage of it. So that's my little, what'd you say, ML? It is now. Yes, we've got, it's a lot going on. But anyway, with that said, I'm going to let Dr. Grady and Ms. Cogan talk. But I'm excited. I think there are a lot of opportunities, and I think we are uniquely positioned to take advantage of them, but we gotta be aware of them first. So Dr. Grady, if you would go, and Ms. Cogan, talk about the National Housing Trust Fund money and what does that mean for the state of South Carolina?
Sure. So I think what I'm going to do first is, because you ran through all the different types of funding that are rattling around. So I just want to make sure everybody has a good handle on different provisions from different federal legislation that affects housing. So one thing to note is that we have House Bill 3770, which is, if it's not literally on the governor's desk, it will be soon for his signature. That would authorize SC Housing to administer emergency rental assistance funding in the 39 counties that did not receive a dedicated allocation. So Richland was one of the 7 that has their own pot of money, and they've launched their program. I believe it launched last Monday for applications. So that's one pot of money from the December federal appropriation. In the March bill, when will you release this? Sue, that is to be determined quickly. Certainly the legislation task to work with a third-party consultant as well as an advisory board. And if the governor signs the bill, we certainly intend to get it out the door as fast as humanly possible, but I don't have a specific date at that point. So that is, I believe, $271 million of funds. So now in the March bill, there were several other things. There was a second round of rental assistance, which the state and counties will get somewhere in the ballpark of at least $274 million. And then there's also the Homeowner Assistance Fund, which Councilwoman Devine mentioned, which would provide an allocation of funds for mortgage assistance. Treasury has not even released guidance on what those will look like. So it is way too early to say who will be administering that, what that looks like. But there was also $5 billion nationally in home appropriations that's designed for homelessness prevention services. So I went ahead and pulled the numbers on that. So that the statewide non-entitlement community total is 26 million and change. City of Columbia will get 2.5 million. Richland County will get 2.7 million. So that's money that's designed, as I said, for homelessness prevention, helping those extremely low-income households find and maintain housing stability. So that was also in the American Rescue Plan. The pot of money that we're talking about today is the National Housing Trust Fund, which is actually not an appropriation. It's an annual fund that is basically, there's a little teeny tiny slice of every Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac transaction that goes into this pot of money. It was created in 2008, but it didn't receive any funding until 2016. It happened to get a big increase in collections this past year, as despite the pandemic, the home ownership market, it was obviously very robust. So so the amount of money that is going to South Carolina, and specifically to SC Housing, roughly doubled to a little less than $8 million. So we, in the past, have used that money in our small rental development program, which, as the name would imply, helps build and rehabilitate rental housing that serves low-income households. That is typically a smaller development than you would get through a low-income housing tax credit property. So once Councilwoman Devine expressed sort of interest in this topic, I wanted to get Jennifer online, because she's our director of community development. She actually administers both the Home and National Housing Trust Fund programs for us. So Jennifer can certainly go into more detail on the logistics of National Housing Trust Fund, what it can be used for, and answer any sort of detailed subject matter questions that anybody might have. So hopefully Jennifer is on and can pop in. I see her there. She may not be able to. Oh,
Can everybody hear me now?
there we go.
Okay, good. Well, thank you everybody for having me today. As Brian mentioned, I do administer the National Housing, we call it National Housing Trust Fund here at the state agency, because we also have, of course, South Carolina state funded program. You'll see to the program referred to by HUD just as Housing Trust Fund, but around here, we put national in front of it so we don't confuse the two funding sources. But as Brian mentioned, we are excited this year to see the increase in the allocation. We began actually receiving funding and deploying those funds. Actually, as Brian mentioned, it was finally capitalized in 2016, and we had our first funding round in 2017. And so since 2018, we have been combining this funding source with our Home Investment Partnerships Program and our State Housing Trust Fund and our Small Rental Development Program, which right now, this year and in previous years has pretty much financed the development of affordable housing developments between 4 and 39 units. So in the past few years, the program has become pretty competitive, which we're excited about, which means we don't have to leave any money on the table at the end of the application cycle, which is always a good thing. But that program this year will be accepting applications in a two-tier system. The tier ones are due on May 14th and then August 31st. For those that qualify to go to tier two, those applications will come in. But National Housing Trust Fund is unique in that it can only serve folks that meet that ELI income, the 30% and below. It's also unique in that whereas most of the HUD community development programs, you won't see an affordability period beyond 20 years. National Housing Trust Fund has to remain affordable for 30 years. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. One of the reasons why we've combined it with our small rental development program is we've kind of created an underwriting model that allows us to utilize the Home and the South Carolina Housing Trust Fund units in these developments to kind of support the higher income brackets to kind of make up where you're going to not get that income from the cash flow from the National Housing Trust Fund units that are serving the 30% in AMI. So what we typically see is in a project about six or more units, about the maximum amount of National Housing Trust Fund that really works, that's financially feasible and cash flows for that duration, is to have about 25% of those units serving this 30% and below of AMI. We do have a set of rehab standards that HUD has required us to submit as the state that get approved as part of our action plan. So if folks are going to apply to utilize the funding for rehabilitation, there are specific requirements for that rehab that have been approved by HUD. But with the Small Renal Development Program, you can apply for new construction and or rehabilitation for affordable housing. I open up to anybody. Anybody's got any specific questions about the funding source or the application process?
Jennifer, I have one. So just thinking, so Dr. Grady, and I'm sorry, Ms. Cogan, I'm gonna make sure I be consistent. Dr. Grady mentioned about double amount, so 8 million. So, and I know you don't know what the applications will look like, but based on experience and what you've had coming in and what you've been able to fund, realistically, what does this mean for us? Can we see more projects actually getting funded and done because of this money? And is there a time frame that you have to spend this money?
Sure. So we have 2 years to commit the funding. We are all caught up on our commitment obligations for previous years, which is exciting. And some of the changes we've made recently to small renal development have allowed us to do that. They have really increased a lot of interest in the program with developers, and it's gone from being a non-competitive program to a competitive program. So last year, I think we had about $30 million available and about 60 or 70 million in requests. So we're expecting to see similar demand, if not even higher this year. So we typically get around 3 million a year is what we've previously been getting. So the increase to the 7.7 million is definitely exciting. But it should allow us to get some more units produced. But then at the same time, we are facing, these really exorbitant construction costs that just really we haven't seen increases like this in a long time. So it may also come in useful, to help us head off some of those exorbitant. I think we're seeing 40% increase in development costs. So it may also help to offset some of those costs as well.
Thank you.
And the application, just if anybody's interested, the application is actually on our website and it's available.
Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Cogan? Soon to be Dr. Sauls.
4 days. So it's more of a comment. This just as information. We've had the privilege of working with Jennifer and her team on this project, and it is actually what funded Myrtle Grove, which will welcome families on May 1st. So again, when we talk about that mixed use, 30, 50, 60, Councilman Davis, this was a project that we were able to develop that included all levels of income, and it was based on that formula of 25% of the units being available to 30%. And it was accepted by the neighborhood, by the community, and they're beautiful. So we're particularly excited about this because it does offer smaller developers like Almost No More versus those that can come in and do 200 units at a time.
And I will say it is gorgeous. I drove through there this weekend and it looks so good. I can't wait till May 1st. Other questions for Ms. Cogan? No. Well, thank you so much, y'all. This is exciting, and I definitely think this shows that we've got a tide that's turning, and I think will hopefully support the mission that we have. I think this means definitely all the more critical, particularly Jennifer and Brenna, the work that your committee will be leading for us, because we want to be able to utilize these funds. But from of course my experience, and Councilman Davis and Councilwoman Teresia can probably speak to this. When you have everything aligning, but then you have the community not understanding and accepting, it sometimes complicates and slows down the process. So we want to be able to take advantage of these opportunities as they come, and I think there will be more that come. But thank you, Dr. Grady and Ms. Cogan, for the work that you have been doing. We know the extra money, although it was exciting for all of us, makes you guys have to do more work, but we're excited. And I think this means a lot. Before we close, and then I'll open it up, see if anybody has anything to add. I'm sorry, Erica pointed out that I did not go over. So Brenna and Jennifer worked on these talking points. So if y'all look, the paperwork that says housing, and I love this, putting the us in housing. I love that. That's great that y'all came up with that. And it talks about who we are, what we do, and it just gives some facts. So y'all look at that, and we will talk about it next week when Brenna and Jennifer both are here, or if y'all want to communicate with them offline by email on anything you want to add to this. But I think this is a great document, and thank y'all for putting this together. Jennifer, did you want to say anything about it?
No, all credit goes to Brenna. She did a great job with it.
So with that said, does anybody have any questions, announcements? I will announce, like I just mentioned, congratulations to soon to be Dr. Saul. She has been working really hard on getting her PhD, and on Friday, we will be calling her Dr. Sauls. And so we're so proud of you, excited for your journey, your completion of your journey, and looking forward to continuing all the great work that you're doing in the community.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. My announcement is more about that. So we welcome families on May 1st to Myrtle Grove officially. However, we will have an official wreath hanging ceremony. We don't do a ribbon cutting. We literally hang a wreath. And that has been scheduled for April 28th at 9 a.m. We'll try to get the word out. It will be socially distanced. It will, use of PPE, etc. But please, if you are able to join us, we'd love to have you out. After a very short ceremony, you'll be able to actually tour the units and the development, and that is 15 new units. And then we may meet before then. We'll also welcome families back to Family Shelter. That ribbon cutting will take place on May 27th, and those renovations are done, and we'll reopen the shelter in a new administrative space. So stay tuned for official invites, but mark your calendars.
Thank you. Mary Louise? You're on mute. Nope. You want to call in, or you going to put it in chat? Okay. All right. Anybody else while she is typing her announcement? Ms. Matthews, do you have anything going on?
Yes, I do. I would like to extend a personal invitation to all of you to join us tomorrow, if you're available, at 4 o'clock via Zoom. We have a very interactive presentation that we will be sharing with the community about our initiatives and putting residents first. And so we certainly like to share that information with you. Some of you that are on the call today are make it possible for us to put our residents first through the variety of partnerships and services that we offer our residents, from infants to our golden age seniors. So we would certainly love for you to join us. If you can't join us, we are going to be recording the presentation and placing it on our YouTube channel for future viewing.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let me check the chat. So Mary Louise said, everyone is invited to dedication of 2 new homes, 2817 Peach Street in KC. Come see what today's Habitat home looks like, 4 p.m. So that is today at 4 o'clock, Mary Louise? Nope. Okay, she's going to give us the date. May 4th. Okay, May 4th at 4 o'clock. And Erica will put all this down, and we'll send all these dates out to everybody so that you have it. Certainly, as we all do this work together, we also want to lift up, amplify, and support everybody else's individual work that they're doing in their organization. So as we can make things available, then we'll do that. Anybody else? No, that was my hand. I was like, is that a hand, Sue? But that was my mouse over you. But Sue, do you have anything?
Only that I had offered to put together a presentation on the housing eviction court that is going on down in Charleston. And I think it's a really good program. It's mitigating some of the problems down there, getting representation for tenants so that there's actual negotiations with landlords, and also because of that, lessening the use of eviction as a collection form and helping people stay in their housing. So I look forward to putting that together.
Yes. So we currently tentatively have that scheduled, y'all, for our May meeting. So as long as we can get the necessary folks, we'll have that. Thank you, Sue, so much for putting that together for us. And I guess let me just say this too. Sue and I hopefully we'll be able to send something out to you guys, but Councilman Howard Duvall and I have been talking and working with Sue and Jennifer. I know she had to drop off. Another thing I just want to make sure y'all know so that you can communicate this to the folks that you guys serve. Under the American Rescue Plan, there's also an expansion of the child income tax credit, earned income tax credit, and they will be monthly payments that families will start receiving in July. The kicker is that people have to have had to file taxes in order to get that. And so there are some people who don't have income or don't feel like they need to file taxes. So working with Jennifer and United Way and the VITA program, we will be able to assist folks that have not filed their 2020 taxes so to make them eligible for these benefits. So once we can actually get something in writing, and Sue, I'll get with you by Thursday. I've got an NLC meeting tomorrow on this topic, and I wanted to just get their information. So I'll get with you by Thursday. Once we get something in writing, we'll send that out. And if any of you guys, Ivory, if you want us to do something for your residents or work with your sustainability people, Anna, your folks, Jeff, your folks, if y'all want us to come and make a presentation and get that information out, we'll certainly want to do that. But we want to make sure every single family who can take advantage of these credits do. If you have a child 0 to 5, it's an extra $3,600 a year. So we want to make sure that our families get access to this because it's their money. So I did want to say that. Any other announcements? Jeff, you talked about Family Promise last time, but you want to elevate that date again?
Sure, April 24th at 6 p.m. It's free. We have our virtual gala coming up. Councilwoman Devine will be speaking. We have some celebrity guests, and we have our own much smaller goal than this task force, but we want to have 25 housing units by 2025. And we're doing that with some partnerships with our 33 congregations throughout the Midlands. So we're excited, and we'll be speaking a little bit more about that during the gala.
Great. Jim, y'all have your Nehemiah Assembly coming up. You want to announce that?
We do. It is coming up next Monday. Not next Monday, the Monday after this next Monday. We expect over 1,600 people. It'll be in a Zoom format, just like this. We're actually requesting a couple of things. One is GVI for Richland County to actively pursue that, and the city to actually pursue that. And we're also asking for the establishment of a housing trust fund, Richland County. We're excited about it. It's at 6:30. I'll put my email address out, so if you want to attend, just give me a call or an email.
Tanya's putting in the chat. Tanya, no, you can make that announcement, Tanya.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just good afternoon, hon. I was just telling Tamika about the mentioning the project of the library that we're doing out here in North Point States that she has so graciously helped us with and pretty much set it all up. So that's something we're doing out here in North Point on Saturday at 2 p.m. We're going to be doing the varnishing of our bookshelves that were donated by Miss Tamika Devine, and we thank her for that. And we'll be having an opening date soon. So we'll be putting out an invite to everyone to come out to the opening of the library when we open it up.
Thank you, Tanya. And Tanya's giving me credit. Jamie and I helped get the books donated and sponsored some of the materials, but Tanya and the moms and the kids out there are really putting this library together. So we're hoping this could be a model for all other communities to have residents come together and do something for their own communities. So when we get pictures and everything on this, we'll send that out. And so, Jeff, Lila, Anna, all your communities that y'all work with, hopefully we can replicate this model. Anything else? Shayla, Chris, Allison, anything else? Regina? I don't want to leave anybody out if y'all have anything.
I just want to say thank you all. This feels so real. So and
Great. Thank you, Allison.
Hello, everybody. I didn't want to interrupt anyone. I do have some news. It may be a little too early to speak on it, so I'll probably speak on it the next time. It'll be firmed up next time we meet, but we will have some more single-family affordable homes coming from some of the partners that I worked with in the past, so I'm excited about that, and I will speak more on it once I have more firm locations for you.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for all the work you're doing. Anybody else? Chris, you have anything?
No, ma'am, nothing from me today, but appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for all your hard work and everyone's hard work on this call. It's exciting to see some progress, so thank you all.
Awesome. Okay, and Regina just put in the chat, just adding to the library, that the kids also we're giving the kids a stipend for working on putting up the library so that they can then also learn more about how to use their money and save. So I forgot about that piece. Mary Louise says, if anybody needs hand sanitizer, call her. So anyway, so with that said, if all hearts and minds are clear, we are done this month. Erica will send out the revised draft. If anybody has anything for Brenna on the talking points, email her. But otherwise, we'll provide the talking points along with the drafts, and then Alice and I will get with Erica on the dates of the presentations to the different bodies, and we'll let you guys know so that if your schedule permits for you to be available. Dylan, I'm sorry. Dylan, did you have anything?
Nothing pressing today. No, I appreciate it though.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed you.
You're good.
I saw you.
No.
So we'll send that in. We'll get y'all on agendas, and then next month, everything worked out, we will have a presentation by the eviction court. So if nothing else, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for all your hard work. As Chris said, yes, we are seeing progress, and I'm excited, and I think that there are a lot of things aligning, so we're just going to keep pushing forward, and we'll make sure that everybody has the dates of all the upcoming ribbon cuttings, everything else, so that we can support each other. So with that said, you guys have a great week, and I'll see y'all next month, if not before.